The market's been very positive of late, and you can see despite the what looks like potential tops, the market continues to press higher, which it always does. The market will go higher than you think it will, and will also go lower than you think it will. Always goes further. Let's go back a year. Back in August, September, October, we came down in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, bottoming on October 27th at 4,103. Fast forward a year later, almost a year later, 57.51, 1,648 points. Folks, when you look at where we were at 4,100, that is 40% in a year, 40. I don't know, and I haven't checked the numbers, but I don't believe the market's ever had 40% in 1 year in the S&P 500. But I may be wrong. I'm sure that way back when the markets were a lot lower, the percentage, it was easy to have a bigger percent gain. But I can tell you in the last 20, 30, 40 years, this has been the biggest move I've ever seen, and I've been doing this a long time. What we have on S&Ps is a V bottom with a right-hand extension, breakout through a top, kind of a cup and handle, and now a flag. Sure looks like we're headed towards 6,000 or 5,900, 6,000 range. That's a projection. Near-term support, obviously 56.74, and then 55.60. And below that, we have 54.20. Those are 3 levels to watch on the support side. What about the NASDAQ 100? Not quite the same. As a matter of fact, one of the problems is intermarket divergence, meaning the S&P 500 making new all-time highs, while the NDX, which was leading for years, is now trailing. Now we have a V bottom spike down in August. And maybe the reason for this is that it kind of came down so hard, so fast, from 20,672 in less than a month to 17,435. That's 3,000 points in 4 weeks. So the recovery was going to take a little longer. Anyway, we had a big run up and a pullback, also V bottom right end extension. Note that the trend line was kind of key here. Sorry about the interruption. Okay, so we have a platform developing on that too as well, with the moving averages rolling over and crossing over. The 20,275 area on the NDX is key. 20,675 was the all-time high. So we're a good 600 some odd points away from the high. Not just on the minor divergence. Something to consider or continue to keep watch on. For me, there's a platform here in the last 2.5, 3 weeks with support at about this week's low of 19,630. Below that is 19,280. And below that, the trend line is about 19,000, maybe about 18,900. On the upside, a breakout above this recent high of 20,273 should lead to 20,700, maybe 20,750. I'm also seeing a rising channel line. It tells me that if we do break to the upside, we could go to 21,000. So that would break through and confirm the S&P. And we could be on our way to what looks like the top of a long-term channel that says 22,000 plus is not out of question. That's another 10%, folks. So we could get a blow-off into that area. That would be quite intriguing. And from there would be a 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5. Hard to say, but I'm not ruling that out. All right, let's move on. Just hang on 1 second. Okay, so then we're going to move over to the transportation index and see what they're up to. The trades haven't confirmed. As a matter of fact, for a year, we've been unable to get back up to 16,400 range. I think we reached 413 here. We reached 394 there, and a little lower up. But you can see across here that if we do break out above 16.4, we can go right to 16.8 or 9 and much higher than that. There's a long-term channel top and a long-term spike up that happened at 21 when the Dow transportation index at 18,246. That would be my longer term goal, but that depends a lot on whether or not it breaks out, and if so, with what kind of thrust. You can see unbalanced volume is moving up, indicating that they are buying the transportations. But when I look at the underlying technicals here, in terms of money stream balance of power, it's just not strong enough, not yet. So keep an eye on this. Below 15,675 or so would be a problem, but above 16.4 would be huge for the transportation in terms of confirming the action on the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. Let's turn our attention to the small caps, the IWM, that I follow closely. You can see that between 2022 and 2024, we had a nice base form. It broke out, they coiled, popped out, wedged, and popped out, and now it's flagging. So yeah, it's a bullish pattern. If small caps are going to lead the way into a blow off, that we might see this go from 219 to 240 or even more. But so there could be a big period ahead of us where small cap stocks rule. But the tail end of every major bull market, going back a long time, will show you that small cap stocks flourish at the tail end of every market because so many other stocks are extended. They turn their attention to the more speculative, low price stuff with less quality. But that might mean some good times ahead for us over the near term. We'll see. So that's the IWM. Let's look at the underlying technical indicators. What is the McClellan oscillator doing right now? You can see that it got down to minus 100 or so, actual 98 and 77, from a plus 133. And then it bounced to minus 18, so it's pretty much neutral. And when this gets up in that 125, 50, 200 range up here, that's what I'd be looking for when the market, if and when the market does another leg up and blows off. On the downside, if things turn immediately negative, we're probably looking at minus 150 to 200 for an oversold situation. So there might be one more leg down if there is, to wash out some people and get down to more oversold. This is a very touch and go situation right now. The percentage of stocks above their 40 stands at about 58.7, meaning 3 out of 5 stocks are above their 40 and 2 out of 5 are below. The pattern itself isn't as significant as to where it is. And once you get up in that 75, 80 range, you get much more overbought. I would look for that and an oversold and an overbought oscillator before I'm going to call any major market tops. Or if this thing cracks and gets underneath the 52 range, we may start to fall and the market could take a little bit of a dive. This is, again, another reason why my stand has to be neutral with a bullish bias until I see the market give us tip its hand as to where it wants to go. What about the VIX? Well, it's certainly not showing any overbought, oversold, or panic situation yet. We did get a little bounce early in the week, but essentially until this gets over 24 or so or under 15, it's in a neutral territory for me. So let's go to some of the components of the market. Apple. This is a very bullish chart. Look at the long term. Since January 23, almost 2 years, we've gone from 125 and doubled to nearly 250. And down, up and down, this is in what we call an ascending bull coil or wedge. Recent action shows a bounce off support, a run up to resistance and a pullback, another pullback. And now we're in the situation now where Apple is platforming above its 50 and above the moving averages. If we can punch up through here, this is the big number, folks. 233, 233.09, 232.92. So the actual 233 is big resistance, followed by 237. If you get above 237, Apple might be headed to 250. This is a very innately bullish chart, but the underlying technicals, not quite so much. Anytime a large cap stock has a big reversal bar with volume, it kind of skews the technicals, just like it did here. But this wasn't that far from calling it a negative, pullback in the market. We got that. Obviously, support in Apple right now has to be, an Apple is going to be 233, so keep that in mind. And beneath that, the danger zone is 214. You get below 214, we have a big problem. What about Amazon? Amazon and after getting crushed in August, rebounded from 151 to 195, 44 points in a 1-2-3 wave three-wave move. And now the corrective pullback to support. Key support for me, 179.80. Resistance and target is 194 and 202. 202 being the all-time high. You get above that, we're in great shape. The B bottom with the right hand extension and a 1, 2, 3, 4 indicates the possibility we could get a fifth wave. I'd have a problem on the 179, as I said. Keep that in mind with Amazon. Mr. Softy is the worst of all of them right now. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, that looks like a top to me. Look at this. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder? Maybe. But the neckline is down here. So a long way to go before this gets, major sell signal. That's under 385. And we're at 415. So we got 30-point buffer. Not to mention this last pullback low at 400.80 or around 401 would be the first support. We're at the trend line. We're at the 50-day moving average. If we're going to get a fifth wave up on Microsoft, it'll be right from here. If it's going to break, it'll break immediately and roll over. If it rolls over, it's in jeopardy of a massive, major top. I'm not saying Microsoft topping an all-time high, but, as the stock has gone from 100 to almost 500 in the last few years. And if it should reverse and get back above 442, it's off to the races. The monster of the midway NVIDIA, when I looked at this chart today, I said, that isn't that bad. This almost looks like this here. Now, if this is a massive 1-2, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 3, and this is wave 4, and this is a large bull coil, if that's what this is, and NVIDIA breaks over 133, it's off to the races, and I mean up to 200. So I'm not saying go crazy with NVIDIA, but the NVDA, NVDX, and call options may be quite intriguing. If this gets over 130, 131, it's rock and roll time. On the other side of the coin, NVIDIA has support at 113. Below that, you break moving averages, it's price support. The only thing you won't break is the trend line until it gets under 10. Under 110, we have a big problem. We're looking at 103 and maybe back in the low 90s, if not all the way down to mid 70s, if NVIDIA finally cracks. I am not anticipating that. Right now, there's a bullish long-term chart and a bullish multi-month wedge or coil with a platform. So if this is a V bottom with a right hand extended or a cup and handle and a platform, this is bullish, not bearish. Underlying technicals show on-balance volume is moving up, not down. Tremendously so? No, but when you're moving sideways and the OBV is actually making a nominal new high, it's a positive divergence. So something to keep glean from NVIDIA, which could be a major effect on the market, to say the least, since NVIDIA is one of the big winners of the bull market since 2022. Enough on NVIDIA. Let's move on. If you think that's good, the star of the NDX is absolutely Meta. All-time highs. Look at that chart. Massive 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the fifth wave. It looks like a 1, 2, 3. How far can they take this? Well, they say the third wave is the longest. There's a possibility we're going to 675 in Meta. I'm not kidding. 80 points. Something to keep in mind in the back of your mind, folks, is FBL. FBL is the old Facebook double bull ETF. So you can see now that with this as a target up around 43, 44, it's currently 35. Keep an eye on FBL next week. It might be something we want to consider playing if we're in a running market. Now let's look at Netflix. Netflix is huge. Made an all-time high just a week ago at 725, and now it's flagging. Where's the projection? 770. Again, these are targets if we get a blow up in the market or melt up that I would expect to see on Netflix. What I don't want to see is it roll over under 688, 675, and here's the big one for me, 662. Below that, we break 3 support levels and we are headed lower, maybe even down to 600 or less. But for now, I'm still projecting higher prices on this baby all the way up to 770. So, and finally, the big boys, Tesla is not looking as bad as I thought it was, because this wedge broke out, and then an ascending bull coil broke out, and we got up into a resistance level up here, just fell short of it. Now, I will say it does look like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come down. But at support here, Tesla's an easy stop, folks. On the 235.6, we may see 224.5, we may see 215. But for now, I'm looking for a run to 272 to test this level. 271, sorry. So 270, 71 would be my target. We break through that. That would be huge. We test the all-time high at 299. I'm sorry, multi-year high. Tesla has been higher than that. And this is, of course, split adjusted. But the all-time high is 413 split adjusted. Anyway, so that's my take on Tesla. I'm spending more time on this weekend because I think it's vital to where the market might be going. Looking at the major ETFs, semiconductors always lead the way, or have been, along with biotechs. Look at this chart. Let's go back. About since 2008 at the low, the split adjusted price on the SMH was under $8. In July, 283. How about that for a run? Now let's just go back to last year or two. 2 years ago in October, we tagged 83 and we went up more than 200%. On a daily basis, you can see the V bottom, and like all the tech stocks did. The run up to resistance in the 50, failure right there, created a new declining tops line. But it made a higher low and then broke through moving averages here and ran up to the prior high. The pullback is testing moving averages. This is actually bullish. If you see the SMH up above 256, we're probably headed to 270, 285, and above. The problem is going to be two places. Keep your eye on support at 237 and 230. On the 230, I have a problem with the market. SMH, LABU, biotechs. Well, biotechs haven't really gone anywhere other than the move we had, a year ago. That initial run was big, but it has gone nowhere since. We have a quadruple top around 148. We're pressing support down here near 117.19. Really needed to hold here. If the market's going to go higher, we can't have a breakdown in biotechs. If biotechs do break down, I would look for about 100 or thereabout. So this is important. We don't get a crack below last week's low of 119.65 roughly, ideally. What we want to see is a move over 132 that gets it up in that 145.50 range. Now, if and when it can do that, longer term, I can see 180 or 190 or thereabout on the LABU. Amazing. I remember this before it reverse split, it was trading at 4 or something like that, wasn't it? All right, anyway. And then also, obviously, there's 3 groups I check, and the other is the financials, the FAS. Now, take a look at this long term. After coming, this is the all-time high back in 21-22. Up at about 156. We came way down, triple bottom, and here's the breakout in October, November of 23. Since then, we've gone from high 40s to 132. But more importantly, lately, the pullback pop, and now the coil or flag. Look at Friday. This gained 5% plus on Friday in one day. That's a big move for an ETF. My projection is 148 to 52. We don't want to see below 121.5 to 122.5. That's where we're at on those 3. Other ETFs that we consider, we're always looking at gold and silver. Let's look at the GLD. Gold made an all-time high. There's your weekly chart. It's had a big 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 waves up. But on a daily basis, the GLD is at the top of the long-term channel. You're looking at things like GDX, also coming off the channel top, and resistance is 45. And the Nugget actually made a nominal breakout and backed off. Nevertheless, they're all in rising channels. They're very choppy. They're currently pulling back to retest. It's a different story in silver. AGQ pushed through resistance on Friday. I'm liking silver a lot better than gold right here. Breakout, see it? But it did pull back. Once we get above 47.5 on AGQ, it's clear sailing into the 50s and 60s. Way up there, maybe. This is the long-term channel top, though, so I would have to give you your first target at 47.5 and 52.5. Later on, when we get through this, I'll show you some stocks in the silver sector that I like. There's a couple in particular. Okay, now looking at oil. Big recovery with the tension in the Middle East and with war on the potentially on the horizon. This week we did this. In the last 3 weeks, we had a V bottom with a right-hand extension. How often we see this pattern? Spike up and breakout. Through the declining top sign, through lateral support, through the moving average. I would suspect we could get up to at least 30.5, maybe 32. Near term, where there's big resistance on UCO. USO, similar. Also a breakout, targeting 80 and 83. There's a quadruple top up, triple top up. That's going to be tough to get to about 83. If this accelerates. But look at the volume in it. So, yeah, that's a much better position right now. What about gas? Well, it's not really doing that much. I thought this was a base, and then Friday the thing crapped out. After making a new high, the boil went from 12.5, closing at 11 basically. That's not what you want to see if you think a new trend is starting. On the other side is KOLD, which came out of a falling wedge of sorts. See it? So we may be seeing a whole new upturn beginning if there's a follow through on KOLD. KOLD first target around 62.75, and then 67. Leave it right there. A lot of stock to cover, folks. So let's get with it. I'm going to forego shorts this weekend. There's just too much work to do here on the long side. But there are shorts that I have. I may go through a few, but let's do that. Starting with AAOI, alphabetically, of course. This is a tech trader swing. Broke out of the downtrend, worked its way up in 5 waves, and pulled back. It looks like this has long-term implications. 10 points. I'm looking for 22.5 up here. Eventually. We've got to get up through 17 first. If you see that, go for it. That's a tech trader swing. ADMA is not a swing, but it should have been. Look at this chart. In 1 year, 3 to over 20. 7-fold increase, still going, and now flagging. If anyone's interested in this stock, my targets are 23.4 and 27.8. Nice chart. APP. Well, how about this chart? In January of last year, 9.5. Currently 140. 14-fold increase in less than 2 years. Long term, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 5th wave telling me 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's spiking. We're at the channel top. This might blow off into the 150, 60 range. Hard to say. What I would do is keep a stop under 122.24. That's a long way from here. Maybe we're closer to 126. Nevertheless, powerful chart. That's why I'm showing it to you. Apps. When it broke out here, we put a swing on it. We immediately had profits. Got right to the target at the gap, and then failed. It's pulled back for now almost 2 months. Oh, we'll call it 7 weeks. It's held support all along at about 2.5. Keep your stops under 2.5. What we're looking for is a reversal back up above 330. Then you're looking at 4.5, 5.25, 7, etc. ASTS was a great swing for us as it exploded from the 3-4 zone and just kept running until it got into the 40s, I think. High 30s maybe? Yeah, 39 and change. From 39, it's pulled back into the low 20s, reaching 21 and change. Basically, it's in a falling, orderly pullback channel. When you get a run that takes a stock from 2 to 40, 20-fold, you're going to get this kind of action. Just keep an eye on it. If it gets above 27.25 with volume, then your target's the 31 and 37. Your stop has to be on the 21.5. Alpha Technologies has exploded of late. This is one public, it went bonkers, but then it did a large 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move. Recently exploded literally from $1.15 in a week and a half to 8 in a 2-day pullback, testing support there and held it. And Friday was a big bounce. Should this get over 8, we might see a stock in the 12-15 range. Keep an eye on it. It's got Momo. It needs volume though. It could back and fill some more. AppPoint, software infrastructure stock, broke out of a base, retested, and this ran up the channel. It's still going higher. It looks like it's formed a flag in here. Your target is 13 and 15. Best Buy. I put this on my list this week because I love this long-term base. There's a massive breakaway gap and now a bull wedge. We've seen stocks do this before. I'm going to put this on my swing trade list for next week for targets at 111.12 and at 125. Support and stop under 94.5, 95. Billy. Well, look, folks, I'm going to talk about Chinese stocks. They are way extended with phenomenal momentum. Now, the Chinese government has decided to put in big stimulus. This one alone has gone from 14 to nearly 32 in 2 weeks. It pulled down and bounced. I can't recommend these stocks, but I can show you where support is. If this stock is under 25.5, 3/4 next week, watch out because it can be 24 or even back to 20. Easily do a 0.375 or 50 fib retracements type. And I think that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. BLCO. This is another one of those stocks similar to Best Buy that has a beautiful base, breakaway gap, and a beautiful consolidation. Let's look at that one more time. BLCO and Best Buy. This is a little different because it's got a coil versus the falling wedge, but both of them can be very bullish. My targets on this one are in the 21, 22 range and then mid-20s. Bristol Myers is a tech trader swing. First of all, I love this company. I was just dumbfounded they could take this from 81 to 40. But then it stabilized down at 40 and broke out. I put a swing on it. I like this look right here. It's on the run. And should it get through the 55 range, which was my swing target, I would then look for something perhaps near 60, 59.60, my next target. BVS is a beautiful little biotech stock that had a rising channel and then accelerated. And right now it's running and running hard. Extension targets are 14 and 17. BYRN is a tech trader swing. It popped and flagged. We put a swing on it. It's gone from 14 to 19. Much more to go, in my opinion. 23 and 29.30. CAPR exploded. This biotech had literally gone from 4 to 22 in a couple weeks. Friday was a big day for it, up another $5.13 at 30%. It's trading good volume. If this accelerates and holds that line, which is very, very steep, it's possible it could be 30 or even 40. Take Friday's low and put a stop under 16.5. A long way from here. Probably want to do something different. For me now, support is 19.5 and 17. That's where you may want to put some stops in. Kava, how about this move? A year ago, sitting there in the $30 range and based out, then broke out. But what a chart and what a run since then. Literally gone from the mid-30s to 130, 131.82 at the high. Now in what I call a rising flag or coil, accelerated target of 150.55. CCJ, well, uranium stocks exploded. First, this double bottom here. Long-term chart is phenomenal. Then it came down to the bottom of that pattern where support was and retested it. The breakaway gap above the moving averages is where I knew the stock was headed higher. This is a tech trader swing. I'm looking for a move into that 55 and then 63.4 range. CDNA, inverse head and shoulder breakout and coil. We have a swing on this too. It's gone from the low teens to the mid-low 30s. I don't think this is done. Basically, looking for a big move, take this into the 40s and 50s. No kidding. CLBT, beautiful long-term rising channel coming out of a base. And a rising pattern shows me that this has multiple waves up, broke out, retested, and popped. Now it's doing its thing again. Can this go higher? Why not? Targeting 20. CLOV, big downtrend here. Broke out there and stretched up this way higher from the big wedge or coil. Broke out of that coil last week. I think it's headed for 5.5 and 7.5. CLPT breaks out of a big base with a breakaway gap and a spike up and ran hard and pulled back. Coming off this low, you could say this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. But I do think the next leg takes you to 17.5. Of course, it's going to have to get up through the highs first. So your first target is at 13.45.50 right there, and then 17.5. CMPO, big base, couple years, breakaway gap, rising channel, target 17. Collegium, stock I've been following for years. Way back in 17, I was trading it here, and then it took years for it to develop a bigger base, but it finally broke out and it coiled. Then it broke out again. This is new all-time high territory, and I'm now looking for 48.50. Look at that breakout Friday. COMM, beautiful like of inverse head and shoulder, a rounding bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how far it goes here. There's resistance here. If it should pop this flag, I would look for 8-9 zone. Court, another biotech. Big base pattern. Breakout retest coil. Notice how that 50, the red dotted line, hold, 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 pop. Now, that pop has taken it in a fifth wave to the top of that channel. So maybe overbought and extended here. Maybe in need of a consolidation, but my projection is 50. CORZ broke out of a base pattern in June and just kept running until finally it settled into a 3-month coil pattern. That's broken out. And now it's consolidating here above the breakout point. Target would be a retest of 12.95 and then 14.5. Koya, some of you remember this one from back in here where it did that beautiful move up from the 3-4 range into the $10 range. So it tripled. Came down multiple waves from the platform, V bottom right hand extension, and broke out. Friday was a big day for this. Not a lot of volume, but up 11%. If and when it gets up through 7.95, I'm looking for a 9 and I'll back up towards 11. CRMD, sloppy base, but a long one. Broke out, retested, stretched up its way higher. Now looking for a move that takes it up to, let's call it 10.5 and then 13. Kinetics, breakaway gap out of a base. Pops, flags, breaks out, stretches up its way higher. I think the stock's headed for 65. Corvus, another biotech breaking out of a base and running. My extension targets are 7 and 9. Carvana, well, what can I say about this one? One of the best stocks of the last 2 years. Literally went from under 4 to 180, folks. That's right. 40-fold increase. And yet, does it look done to you? Nope. 198 target. DQ, with Chinese stocks running, this Chinese semiconductor stock, which had a monster run in 2020, if you recall, we rode this from the low the high single digits into the 140 range. Now breaking back out again, something to watch. It's at resistance target 29.30. DRS, Leonardo DRS is in a phenomenal rising channel. I've been talking to you about this for a year. It just keeps, pop flag, pop flag, pop flag, and up and up and up, and did it again here. My target is 33. Brinker, I added this week because new all-time high territory above the 2021 high. Most importantly, rising channel is stellar, and it calls for a much bigger move to 115. EBS, well, it was doing great in here as it broke out and ran up sharply. Pulled back, formed a wedge or coil, whatever you want to call it. Pop the coil, pop the wedge. It's gone from under 6 to over 9. My targets are 10 3/4 and 13. In the aerospace sector, Chinese, EHang, breaking through a triple top. Friday was a huge day for it, jumping 19.5%. Targeting now 20 and 22.5. ERJ was a tech traded swing when it broke out here. It ran up to a target and double topped, and then pulled back to support. I need this to hold Friday's low, 32.5 roughly. My targets are 37.5 and 41. EVGO exploded on Thursday with a breakaway gap and followed through Friday. Big buy on both days. There's some resistance at around 8. You get through that, I'm looking for 10.5 and 12. EWTX, check out this biotech. Long base, breakaway gap, and a beautiful wedge. This should be a tech traded swing. It may very well turn into be one. Targeting mid-30s, low 40s. FCX is a tech traded swing. When it broke out here, I just kept running. It reached my targets and backed off and formed the flag. Next target 55 and 59. FEIM. When it popped and pulled back, we put a swing on it, but it really hasn't done much. It's a thin stock, but it's one of my favorite institutions picks that fundamentally thinks this is a major move to high teens, mid-20s, and maybe more. FTAI can't get much better than that, folks. Is this the chart of the last 2 years? About 14 to 140 tenfold. It's still running. Friday having a big day. It jumped another 7% or 9.5 points to 143. Possibilities exist right now that we're headed towards 165. Futu, probably one of the stronger Chinese stocks during this run. It literally went 56 to 130, more doubling in 2 weeks. Is it extended? Well, you betcha, but the all-time high is up here. You might very well see more upside momentum before it falls apart. But I would be cautious on every single one of these with tight stops under Friday's low. Simple as that. Gato. Well, here's a junior silver stock I like. Mexican silver, up near the all-time high, which is up around 20. I expect that might be reached. My targets are 20 and 25. Gannett. The publisher broke out here, retested, and it's moving its way up. Look at this little bull coil here. This should be a tech traded swing. Next target is 7 and 9. GCT. GigaCloud, I think, is Chinese as well, but it went from 15.5 to 28.5 in 2 weeks. Overhead resistance says 30 and 33 are possible. On momentum alone, GDS, great looking long-term chart, continues to press higher. I have a target of 28. GE Aerospace, formerly General Electric, because they split apart. And this is the main stock. Breakout at flag. Oh my God, this stock's going to 200, folks. Maybe 225, maybe 245. Very impressive. GENI, well, I put a swing when it broke out. It didn't work. It immediately dropped back down to secondary support. Can stop under 7, period. If it holds and goes again, we'll look for 8 3/4 and 10. GILD, almost an inverse head and shoulders, but more importantly, spike up the resistance and pull back the moving averages as they crossed over, then the run up. 65 to 85, and now an ascending bull wedge says we are probably going to test 88, and then maybe 95. Granite Construction GVA, breakaway move November last year and nothing but up since then. New all-time high on Friday, taking out a massive double top. That is impressive. But it is at the channel top. If it accelerates, we might see 88 to 92. Harrow. Tech trader swing since here when it popped and flagged. Boy, was that beautiful. 17 to 52. And still going. As a matter of fact, of late, it popped out of an ascending bull coil right there. I think we're headed to 60.62. Huya, another Chinese stock that went bonkers. How about 385 to 6.25? The spike high last May was about 6.75, so we may get there early next week. Be careful on this one as well. Hamet, just amazing. Look at this breakaway move last year at about 48. Only more than doubled to 102. Channel top says we may be 115 short term. INOD breakaway move and a run up to the top of the long-term channel. And now this 1, 2, 3, looks to me like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave corrective. A large wedge is formed. I need to get above 1690.17. If it should run under 15, I move aside. JD is another Chinese stock on fire. It had a huge move, basically from 25 to 47. Very vulnerable, all these are. Do they have momentum? You betcha. There's another one, JK Solar. It came out a little late. It is Chinese. Jinko. We get through here, which is a triple, quadruple top, then maybe we can see 38. Kingsoft is another. It's gone from 2, double to 4.25. Took out some resistance here, although it's at the next resistance. Again, momentum could take this higher. Just wanted to show it to you how overbought they all are. Knife River. Well, I've been following this stock for a long time. Didn't really put it out there. But this is recently broken out and flagged. And I don't know where it's going, but at the top of the channel says long term, 115. Chinese automotive stocks as well. As you know, Lee is one of the better, if not biggest one there. Recently has gone from 18 to 31. Resistance is in this zone right here. So we may experience some difficulty making further progress. Look for pullback consolidations for all of these. I'll tell you what, Chinese stocks could use a couple, 3 weeks of consolidation. That would be good. LIT, look, I think lithium stocks are making a move. I obviously put PLL out there. Is the long-term downtrend broken? Well, it certainly appears so. But we've run up to resistance from earlier in the year. If we can get through here, you might be looking at a $52 stock. But again, keep an eye on that. Swing trade light. When it popped here, we put a swing on it. It's gone from 51 to 68. Friday was a really good day for breaking out through resistance, big resistance. I'm now looking for 75. Layered superfood. Pop, falling wedge, pop, flag, pop, coil, pop, flag. I mean, the stock just acts great. Where's it headed? It projects to 12, 13, folks. Up there. I don't know if it's going to double from here. It could, and if it does, it might be a great swing. LUMN Lumen just went bonkers. Back here from 1 to 8 in July, August, and then settled into a coil. It broke out, got up to the high, but backed off again. I'm going to need this to make some additional upside. It's got to get up through 7.5, 3/4 is big resistance. If it gets through that, you're looking at 9.5, 10. Lunar did a pop, coil, pop, falling wedge. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking for wave 5. My targets are 10 and 13. Mercury General has been a beautiful rising channel. This is one of those insurance stocks that keeps going. If it gets up through 67, I would look for 77. Meso Blast exploded in March, April, and then went sideways for months. Recently got very quiet and then boom. This biotech stock has gone from 6 to 11 in about 2.5 weeks. Mojo could get it to 13, but again, overextended. 3M is a trade swing that I put out I believe in April, May, around 95. Met all my targets and then some, reaching 140. Love the way this looks. Might see more upside, 148.50 target. MOD has been in a phenomenal bull market since spring of 22. That's 2.5 years. How about under 8 to 136? Where's the target? Mid-channel target is 160, upper channel target is 200. MP, tech trader swing, broke out, ran up to resistance or near it, backed off, formed the flag, it may have popped. This needs some energy. I don't want it under 15.75. 19, 21, 22 are targets. NIU, now this has been a sleeper. It's a Chinese automotive stock. You can see the big drop. This stock back in 21 was market favorite. They ran it up to almost 53, dropped it down to under $2 from the base. Look at the breakout last week. Now, breakaway gap above a base is always big, and then Friday was huge. So I would look for some follow through to about 340.50, and then we'll see if it consolidates. But the ultimate target is 4.5, 5. NNE, tech trader swing, pop, broke out, pulled back, coiled, tried to break out, backed off, and then Friday it did break out. Now I'm looking for a move to 23 and 28.30. In TRA, tech trader swing, I believe since May when it broke out in the high 90s, it's made it up to 130 odd, 132. You can see the bull consolidation right now on this one. Next target, 145.50. New Valent popped and broke out. This is a tech trader swing with a beautiful falling wedge. After it gets to 115, 130 and 150 are targets. OKLO, one of those utility generating stocks. I think it might be nuclear. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see the spike out of a falling wedge here. That's run from 5.5 to 11. There's a double top resistance at 12.5, your near-term target. You get through that, I would look for 16. ONN, a tech trader swing, popped and broke out, and from the low 40s has gone into the low 50s. My target is 60 and then 65. Pan American Silver is one of my major plays in the silver sector. I believe that this move here is going to be duplicated for a move into the $30 range. Longer term, 39. What you need on this one is a break above 24, 4.25 to get this one running. PCT, V bottom and a platform and a breakout and a wedge. Wow, pretty chart. My target is 11.75 and 14. PHAT, one of Kathy's favorites, popped out of a base. It's forming a flag in here. I don't want to see this one under 16. My targets are 22 and 25. Impinge, one of my favorites and one of my best performing stocks in the last year, literally popped and pulled back in the high 50s. I put a swing on it. It's not from 59.60 range to 220. I can't complain. Nearly fourfold. Does it look done yet? No. Where's it going to? That's a tough call. I would have to say, though, just if it follows his channel, we can see 350. It's powerful. Children's place. Falling wedge exploded with a breakaway gap on big volume. It ran up past resistance and then pulled back to form this little wedge in here. If it holds that and blows, we can see mid to high 20s. Stop under 12. PLL in the Palladium group. Now, Piedmont was one of the big ones in that group, and it went all the way up into the 90s. They dropped it down at single digits. It popped and broke out and followed through nicely on Friday. I'm looking for 13 and 15, 16. Palantir has been a beautiful uptrend for a couple years as well, having gone from 6 to 41 at the top of the channel. Overbought, yeah, but my target's 44.5. Poet breaks out of a base, forms a little wedge, pops, forms in a coil, pops, forms a mini wedge. I think it goes higher. 6, 7.75, and 10, all potential. Primal Water, beautiful base, breakout flag. Pops and wedges, coils and breaks out and flags. What the heck is this one going? Well, there's a possibility that, ignoring the spikes, that we're headed to 30 or better. Personalis breaks out of a base, forms a wedge and pops, now it forms a flag. If we get another wave up, we might see $10. This could be a double. PayPal breaks out of a base, retests, and pops. Looks to me like it's headed to 88 and 92. Rail, another one of Kathy's favorites. Breakaway gap, sharp run up, coil, and pop. Headed for 16.17. Red Cat breaks out of a base, wedges, and pops. That forms some sort of consolidation here. Targeting 4 1/4 and 5. Support 220. Rocket Labs rockets out of his base, forms a falling wedge, pops and flags, pops and wedges. Boy, I'll tell you, this is a strong chart. But it's broken out of a massive base. I would look for $11. RNA, one of our better swings this year, ran from under 8 into the high 40s, 48 1/4. Over the last 3-4 months, it's been consolidating, eating up some of that overbought condition. Right now, we break last week's high over 49.40. My target's 58.60. Roku breaks out of a base and wedges, then pops. We put a swing on it. It ran up and out. It's doing it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave, 85.88 target. SGMT exploded Thursday and followed through Friday. What I was missing was a Feim, but I put a swing on it anyway, and that was ill done. So it's pulled right back to support. Now we'll see what happens next week. But I don't want to see the thing drop into this base pattern. It should hold here. If it doesn't, move aside. SMR, another nuclear power stock, breaking out of a base above the moving averages. On Friday, it popped again, only to back off again. Oh, that's not true. It closed at 13, my bad. So I'm liking the stock for a move to test that high around 17. Shark Ninja has been amazing. I've been ignoring it. I can't any longer. It's just phenomenal. 111 from a low of 28. It's gone up fourfold, and yet I don't see a top of the stock. I would say stop under 103, 104. Target could be 120. SPRY popped out. We put a swing on it. It ran up to the target and backed off. Now it popped and flagged. I got a $20 target. Obviously, retest the high first. 16.5 and 19.5, 20. SVM, Silver Corp. This is one of my favorite junior silver stocks. Beautiful base and a breakout. It's the highest level we've seen in this stock since 21, 3-year high. I think we're headed to 6 3/4 and 9, maybe more. In the marijuana cannabis group, True Leaf is my favorite. Breaks out, coils, pops, flags. I think it stair steps its way up to 14, maybe 16. Tiger, one of those Chinese stocks that went bonkers, particularly after hours on Friday as well, but I wouldn't chase this stock. Nevertheless, extremely overbought, but a beautiful breakout of a base. Watch for all of these to set up some kind of consolidations. TKNO explodes in July, goes from $1 and change to 5, pulls back and coils. This is a very bullish chart. If it holds it and pops, your targets are 6.5 and 7.5. TTK, beautiful long-term chart. Breaks out, retests, and pops. I'm targeting 57.8. TBTX, the biotech breaks out of a base pattern and forms a little pullback flag and pops on Friday. I think this one wants to go to 19 and 23. Beautiful inverse head and shoulders after a long downtrend. It popped out. We put a swing on it. It's gone from 18 to 23 and change and pull back. I think the stock goes back to 23, takes that out, goes to 25, and then 29. BERI popped in August. I put a swing on it. It backed off and stopped us out, but now it's resurrecting itself. To me, any move over 4, 10, 15 range, this stock is starting to really make a move. There's some resistance at 460, but eventually it could be a $6 or $7 stock. VF, formerly Vanity Fair, breaks out, retests, pops, flags. It's a stair-step type stock. I'm looking for a 25. BRNA, also a tech trader swing. Pop, flag, pop, retest, pop, flag, and pop again. 36 and 42 are targets. BST was phenomenal until it took several months to consolidate the big move. Well, it broke out with abandon and then ran up and flagged, and it's running up again. I don't know where they take this, but I have a 150 target. Another Chinese player, Weibo, went vertical from 7 to 11 and change. It could see 13, but careful with that as well. WGS, the tech traded swing, one of our better ones, spiked up in, I think it was April at around 14, 15. It's gone to 50, and now my target is 62. Walmart, after the split, just kept going, which is unusual, but look at this chart. Careful though, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, and it's got a big move. Split adjusted 50 to 80. Nevertheless, I wanted to show you how bullish it is right now. Careful with it though. Woof. Long downtrend. It took it from 31 down to under 2. It moved up, consolidated a wedge and broke out, flagged and broke out. Backed off Friday, but I'm looking for 7, 7.25. Wolverine Worldwide. Pops the base, consolidates for months, and now it's running. Running through everything. Target 23. XPEV, this is probably my favorite Chinese EV, but this too is extended. Now, if it does get above 13.75, it may run into the 16, 17 range. Watch that for momentum. Yen, how about the yen? This is the ETF for China. Same thing here. How about 20 to 52 in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks? Extended indeed, and be careful with the Chinese stocks next week. And finally, Zeta, one of our better tech traded swings from May, I believe. When it popped here in that 15 range, well, it's more than doubled, and I don't think it's done yet. It's got a great chart, 35 target. Folks, that's it for the longs. I'm going to go over a few shorts. There are a few. I haven't done my homework here. I don't think the market's ready to be shorted. Not yet. We'll see. CMG, after a big split, came down and bounced. That looks like a bear coil. I would do nothing until it breaks down under the 50. So anything under 55 or so, this stock could fall apart with targets in the high 40s and low 40s. HUBS, head and shoulder top, breakdown, snapback to the neckline there, and then crushed. Well, it did bounce back up, and it bounced through the declining tops on a moving average. However, you can redraw the line to look like that. And this might be something closer to that. So wait for a breakdown here as well. Under 500, the stock could plunge. INFA peaked out, reversed from the bear flag, and then another bear coil of sorts. But it's a stop over 26.5, 27. If it does roll over, possibly see high teens. INMD has been in a bear market for 2 years. 1, 2, 3. I can't. Is it 1, 2? And this is 3. So the falling wedge could snap back, but based on what I'm seeing here, the possibility this can continue to press lower into the 10, 11 range, low teens perhaps. NVIX cracked hard and hardly bounced. We may get a snapback at some point that gets it back up about 122.3. Should we get a bull base? I would look to short it up there if we move down to 105. NVO, British broke a massive head and shoulder top. Novo Nordisk looks lower to me. Not sure what's going on there or why. I don't care. My target's 105 and 94. PACCAR broke out last week. I'm going to take it off my list. Qualcomm. Well, with tech stocks running, look at the underlying technicals on this one. There's something wrong here. Maybe the merger deal. But I would still stop over 178.80 above there. Should it roll over, though? We could see this stock substantially lower, maybe 30, 40 points. Schwab broke down. It's not forming a bear call for the last 3 months. I don't know why. You could easily stop this one over 67.5. But anything below 61, it's not going to plunge into the mid and then low 50s. Tidewater, head and shoulder top, breakdown, bear wedge, breakdown, wedge. One more leg down, perhaps 60 or less. You can see the long-term channel has been broken. Not sure what's going on there. With oil up, though, who knows? Urban Outfitters, breakdown, bear flag, breakdown, bear wedge, and maybe breaking again. But I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Call that the wedge. Easy stop over 39.5, 40. Across there. It rolls over 33 and 29. Weatherford, long falling wedge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and the bounce off key support. I would not be short the stock yet here. I would have covered and wait. Above 96.7, it could be a buy, but for now, if it does break and roll over from here and doesn't go any higher, you might see mid-70s. Finally, Yelp has been in a downtrend since it broke down from the bear flag, and then another one, and now another one. I don't know how far they can take this down. Easy stop over 35.5, there. Well, the rollover says this could be 30 and 27. And folks, that's an exhaustive look at all the longs, the shorts, the underlying technicals, NASDAQ leaders. You have some work ahead of you, folks. You need to review this in depth to be prepared for next week. For now, this is HB signing off. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.